Hey everyone, this is Mukesh Otwani once again from learn-innovation.com. Today in this lecture we are going to talk about how to deal with the drop-downs. Okay, so in the past we have seen how to work with radio button, checkboxes, input box, password fields, normal web elements, right? But today we'll talk about how to handle drop-downs, how to capture the values and how to assert the same. Okay, so you can take any example guys. Okay, you can take any live application of your choice and make sure this video is applicable for select tag. Okay, so let me show you the select drop down, and if you don't have a select drop down, then in the other videos we'll discuss how to handle drop downs which does not have a select tag. Fine, so let's click on create new account. As you can see in this sign up page, we have three different drop down, right? One is for the day, second is for month, third is for year. So suppose if I have to fill this complete sign up form and I have to select these fields, how we can do that? So first let's inspect them. The moment I inspect, let's say this month, as you can see we have three select tag. First select, which is basically highlighting the days, as you can see, then we have month, then we have year. Okay, so if you open this select, we have all these dates from 1 to 31, and if you open another select, which is this, so it is highlighting complete month. Okay, in a similar way, same goes for year. So let's see how we can select the values from the drop down, capture the values, and finally assert. So I will go back to my Visual Code. I will create a new JavaScript file and I will say this is dropdown.js, and as usual we need a describe block, so I will say describe. Okay, and I will say handle drop downs. Okay, then I'm using it for the test, and here I will say that select DOB values, date of birth values, fields. Okay, you can see this auto suggestions are coming because I'm using one of the plugin called Mocha Code Snipper, which I have showed you in the previous videos. Okay, if you don't want this as auto suggestion, you can write. And if you don't want to use arrow function, you can go with the normal function as well, because in the previous examples we have just gone through the normal functions, right? And it looks something like this. You just need to use normal functions. Okay, async functions. So we have to use again async here as well. Now first thing that we need is the URL of this application, right? So let's quickly take the URL. And this option will only come the moment we click on this button. So first of all, let me use await. Then I will use browser.url. Let me pass the URL. Then I need to click on this button, which is create new account. The moment I inspect this, as you can see, I have ID, which is something dynamic. Then I have class, it is also dynamic. So let me use the text which is coming on the screen, which is create new account. So I'm going to write a XPath that find an anchor tag which has a text called create new account. Okay, if it is not visible, let me maximize this. So as you can see, we found that A is a tag which has a text called create new account, and yes, it's matching as you can see on the screen. So let me copy this. And we have seen earlier how to work in a async mode. So I will be using again await. I will be using $symbol, and I will be using this XPath. Now this will return me one web element. So I will say const, and I will say this is create new account, and let me call click. So again I will use await create new account dot click. Okay, so if you are using sync mode, then yes, definitely you don't have to use this await, but we have seen in the past that in future sync mode will not be available, so we are going with async mode. Now the moment we click on this create new accounts, now we are going to get this page. So now we have to basically find this web elements, then we have to see how it works. So let me start with this month, because here I can show you the different things. So if I expand this, as you can see, we have some visible text, then we have some value, and these values are different. So let me start this with this month, then in a similar way you can fill this day and year as well. Now if you notice, for this particular web element, the tag is select, then we have ID, then we have name, then we have title. So it's up to you which locator you want to use. Okay, suppose if I want to go with ID, so again I will be using await $, and if you want to just use ID, you can use hash ID, which is month. Now this is going to return us one web element. Let me store this into a variable, and I will call this as month dropdown, which is month tt. Now for dropdowns we have some predefined functions. Okay, so if I show you the official documentation, just go to API, go to element, and you will find certain functions here. Can you see this? Select by attribute, select by index, and select by visible text. So let me show you one by one. So this will select option with a specific value. So this will accept two arguments. First argument, or I will say parameter, is attribute, like which attribute you're looking for and what value that attribute has. For example, you want to select this trees, so value is some value too. If you want to select so then we have to give this value. Okay, they have already given how to use it, so let's see how we can get this. So in our case, let's say I need to select, right now at the time of recording it's October, okay, but let me select November. So for November, what is the value equal to 11, right? So I will say month drop down, then select by, and you can see automatically three options are coming: by attribute, by index, by visible text. Let's use one by one so that you will understand the difference, and at the end of the video I will also tell you which one you have to prefer. Okay, and I will tell you in which order you should prefer. So let me start with select by attribute. As the name says, select by attribute, which attribute you're looking for. So we're looking for an attribute called value itself. Okay, and the second parameter would be what is the value. Let's say the value is 11. So in this case, it is going to select a value which is equal to 11, which is November in our case. And again, since this is coming from WebdriverIO, so I will be using await. Okay, now since we are selecting the value, so there is a predefined function as well, which will actually tell us what is the value which is selected. Okay, because as a tester we need to verify, right, that whether this value has been selected or not. So we will be using something called dot get value. So what it does, it will get you the value which is selected. In our case it's 11. Okay, so again I will say this is let me store it into a variable, and I will say selected value, and I will simply print this selected value. So what exactly we are doing? First we are clicking on that button, then we are identifying the web element which is drop down, then we are selecting a value which is November using this value attribute and the value equal to 11. After selecting, we need to make sure that it is selected or not, and we are printing. In the next statement we will validate, and then we will see the different functions that is available. So let me just run this. I will say npx WebdriverIO run webdriverio.config.js. Since I don't want to run all the files, I will say hyphen spec, and I will say dropdown.js file, and the moment I hit enter, it should start and it should select the values. Okay, so it says fail to connect, but it will give a retry and it will start. As you can see, it started. We have not maximized, so I will maximize manually, and just notice it's going to select very quickly. as you can see now, it has been passed, and it was very fast, and it is closing, so we could not see the output. So let's add a pause here. So I will say browser, so again await browser dot pause. I will give a pause of let's say 5 seconds so that I can show you the output. Okay, and if you notice, the moment we say get value, so it is giving us the value which is 11, right, which was 11 for that particular drop down. So now we can validate the same. So now in order to validate, you can use something called assert. As we have seen in the previous JavaScript series, that we have one inbuilt module called assert, and this is how we use it. So if you're not sure, please go ahead and watch. As of now, I will quickly just give you a recap that you will be using something called require, then use assert. This is predefined inbuilt module which will provide you set of assertions for verifying the output. Then you are going to store into a variable. You can use any variable. I'm using assert. So if I want to assert now, I will say assert dot equal. Now if you see, it is asking actual versus expected. In our case, what is the actual? This, right? And what is expected? 11. If this is not matching, okay, it will fail, but if it matches, it will continue. So just to give me just to get this final failure, I am giving a wrong expected value, which is 12. Definitely it will fail and it will show us, then we will modify it. So let's run it once again, so that we'll make sure that it is capturing the correct value and it is doing the proper assertion as well. And just after selecting this value, I have given a pause of 5 seconds so that you can see the output. But yeah, in real time you don't have to use this. You can continue without any pause, because if you keep this 5000, it will obviously slow down your script, right? So yes, it started. Just notice it selected November, and after 5 seconds it is going to close. And you can also see that it failed because of the assertion. It says actual was 11, which is coming from this, expected was 12. Okay, so let me go back and change it to 11, because this is the proper assertion. Fine. So in the same way, you can use assert for any kind of values. It's not only for this month dropdown. You can go with any other assertion as well. So the first option that we have seen is select by attribute. Now let's use second one, which is select by index. This is very straightforward. As the name says, it will select the option with a specific index. For example, I have these 5 values: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So index start from 0. So if I say index is 2, so 0, 1, 2, basically it will select trees. Okay, and this is how we have to use it. So let's use here for this application. In our case, if I say index is start from 0, so 0 is for Jan, 1 for Feb, 2 for March. So let me select 2, which is for March. So I will give a pause here of 2 seconds, because after selecting this a month, or maybe we can select day first, then we'll go for month. So the first step is same, that you need to identify that web element first. In our case now it's day, so you can use with name this time. So I will write XPath that find a select tag which has name called birthday. As you can see it also have ID. If you don't want this name and all XPath, you can go with ID as well. In that case, you can just give hash and day. Okay, so let's use that so that you will have a clear picture or clear similarity. So await, and again dollar, and we are using ID, so hash ID. Now I will store this into a variable const, and I will say this is day drop down. For this day drop down, we are going to use something called select by index, and let me give indexes 2. So 0, 1, 2 in our case. We use this example, right? Just a second. Yeah. So if you're using this example, then 0 will stand for this, 1, 2. So 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So let me use 2, so which will select third value basically. Okay. And again, I will be using call await. And if you want to cross check whether it has selected that final value or not, you can again use the get value here. Okay. As of now, I'm not doing that. So I will first identify the day drop down, then I will select the third value, and let me give a pause here so that you can see the difference between two. So first day, then month, and let's also do for final year as well. Okay, for year also we have something called ID as year, and you can see all of this. Now select by value, which we are going to select, or which we are going to use now, which focuses on the text. Okay, so let's quickly use this. Almost same thing. It is just we need to change the variable name. Here ID is year, so I will change this to year, and I will say this is year drop down, year drop down, and I will call this as select by visible text. Okay, now this is a very interesting part. Select by visible text means whatever is visible on the UI, you have to give the same text. For example, here on the UI is coming to 2013, 2021 or 2012, okay, 2005. So you have to use this text, and again it's case sensitive. So in this case, obviously you can't do, uppercase, lowercase, but suppose if you are working with this drop down, okay, and you want to select, let's say, July, so you can't give a small j, it has to be capital J. So when you go with select by visible text, make sure you are very much sure that you're giving the exact same value, because it's case sensitive. Yeah. So yeah, let's run this and see the output. So before we execute, we are launching the browser, clicking on the button, finding that button, clicking on it, then sign up page will open. So the first select by index is working with day drop down. Then we use select by attribute for month drop down. There we also used one of the function called get value, and we validated the same. I'm not going to do this validation for first and last. That's part of your assignment. Last one is dealing with year and select by visible text. Perfect. Let's do this and go back to the CLS, just execute. Now when it comes to which one you should prefer first, so let's wait for the execution. Once executions are done, then I will tell you in which order you should go for. As you can see, it's running in Chrome. Here we get started. Okay, create new account. First, okay, you can see it selected 3, then November and 2005. Okay, so it's very straightforward, guys, and some predefined functions that we already have. As you can see, you don't have to look any other option. Just go to the official documentation, select by attribute, index, and visible text. Okay, now the question comes in which order, or which one is the preferred one. So let me tell you through my experience. Just a second. See, whenever you get a chance, always go with visible text, because as the name says, visible text is the easiest option, plus it's the most stable options, because now you're selecting based on the text. So if text is changing, it means something, requirement changes or some application changes. In that case, it will fail, but most of the time it will work. So select by visible text always use if possible. Second option, I will prefer select by attribute, because attributes also don't change very easily. It only changes whenever application is going through major changes. So you generally can have multiple attributes, but value attribute is common when it comes to select drop down. At last, I will prefer select by index, because index is very dynamic, right? The moment you add any value in the drop down, this index will change. So suppose my application have only two values as of now, but tomorrow or in future, if application is growing with different countries with different options, obviously this drop down will have multiple values. In that case, visible text will work, select by attribute also will work, but select by index will fail because index has been changed, right? So this is my personal preferences, but yeah, you can go with any order, but select by index I will suggest at the last. So I hope it is clear now, and please give a try from your end. Again, I'm using this application, but the concept will remain same for any other application. It is only applicable for select drop down. If it is not select, let's say it is a div drop down or li drop down, in that case we will use $$ symbol that we will see in the next videos. That's all about this video, guys. In case if you find this video interesting and it is helping you, then please support this channel and subscribe, share with your friends, colleagues, and if you find any other issue, let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.